Human soldier jumps in front of blade meant for alien princess. Her life debt tradition demands more. The wind carried the scent of salt from the nearby ocean and the faint tang of alien flora that grew in impossible shapes along the rocky cliffs. It was beautiful and dangerous, just like the planet itself. Marcus Reed, a human soldier far from Earth, stood at the edge of the ceremonial platform. His armor, designed to protect against energy blades and plasma shots, gleamed under the twin suns. Yet despite the protective metal, he felt every bead of sweat run down his back, and his heart pounded not from fear of battle, but from anticipation. Today was not just any mission. It was a moment that could shape the future of an entire world, and perhaps the galaxy. The Virelians, a proud and highly advanced alien species, were hosting a diplomatic ceremony to secure peace among their neighboring star systems. And in the center of this delicate assembly was Princess Kalira, the youngest heir of the Virelian throne, famed for her wisdom and unmatched skill in navigating political storms. Marcus had been assigned as her personal guard. It was an honor that few humans had ever received, but it was also a tremendous responsibility. The humans had proven themselves capable in countless skirmishes, but the Virelians valued not just strength, but loyalty, intelligence, and the ability to act decisively when every second mattered. Marcus scanned the crowd, noting the diverse array of alien dignitaries. Some had long, serpentine necks, their iridescent scales catching the sunlight. Others had wings folded neatly along their backs, their feathers shimmering like molten metal. Every being in attendance represented a world, a culture, a government that could tip the balance of power in this corner of the galaxy. "Stay alert," Marcus murmured to himself. His hand rested lightly on the hilt of his energy blade, a weapon designed to react faster than human reflexes could. It was a tool, not a toy. And in this place, with so many eyes watching, mistakes could be fatal. Princess Kalira approached the dais, her regal presence commanding silence. Her long, flowing robe seemed almost alive, moving with a subtle glow of bioluminescence that marked her as royalty. She smiled briefly at the crowd, acknowledging their presence with a grace Marcus had never seen in any human leader. Every eye turned toward her, but Marcus's focus remained sharp, tracing every movement around the perimeter of the ceremonial hall. Then, without warning, chaos erupted. A figure burst through the side of the platform, moving faster than the eye could follow. The assassin was sleek, armed with a curved plasma blade that hummed with lethal energy. He didn't hesitate. His target was clear, Princess Kalira. Time seemed to slow. Marcus's instincts, honed from years of training and countless battles, took over. He lunged forward without a thought for himself. The energy blade meant for the princess grazed his shoulder first, burning through the protective armor, and he twisted his body to absorb the full strike. Pain lanced through him, sharp and immediate, but Marcus did not falter. He caught the assassin's blade with his own, sparks flying as the metal clashed against the energy edge. The princess froze, her wide eyes reflecting shock, fear, and a trace of awe. Marcus could see it all in the briefest moment before another swing of the assassin's weapon forced him to shift, taking the attack fully on his chest. A gasp rose from the crowd, a sound that Marcus barely heard over the roar of adrenaline in his veins. He gritted his teeth, pushing back against the pain. This was not just about survival anymore. Every move he made was to protect the princess, to ensure that the delicate balance of diplomacy remained intact. Princess Kalira's advisors shouted, some moving to intercept, but Marcus's position was perfect. The assassin could not reach her without passing through him, and Marcus had made his choice. He would not allow harm to come to her, not today, not ever. The clash of blades was like thunder, echoing through the platform and down into the rocky cliffs below. Sparks and fragments of energy rained around Marcus, but he remained a wall between death and the princess. With a final, decisive maneuver, he disarmed the assassin, sending the weapon skidding across the floor. But the effort cost him dearly. His knees buckled, and he collapsed onto one side, the pain in his chest radiating outward like fire. Princess Kalira rushed forward, her glowing robe brushing against the platform. "No!" she cried, her voice carrying over the stunned silence of the crowd. She reached out, her hand trembling slightly as she touched Marcus's arm. "I'm fine," Marcus rasped, forcing a grim smile. "She's safe. That's what matters." The Viorlians were silent at first, struggling to comprehend the human's action. In their culture, bravery was valued, but such selflessness was rare, even among their own elite warriors. Marcus had not just defended the princess. He had thrown his life in front of hers without hesitation. Kalira's eyes, wide and shining, met his. "You risked everything for me," she whispered, her voice a mixture of wonder and gratitude. Marcus nodded. "It's my duty. It's what I do." Her expression softened, but she knew that in Viorlian tradition, such an act carried consequences beyond simple gratitude. A life debt, ancient and binding, was now owed. The laws were clear. Anyone who saved a life in such a decisive manner became irrevocably connected to the one they saved. Marcus barely had time to register the depth of her gaze before medics arrived, carefully lifting him onto a hover stretcher. Pain racked his body with every movement, but his thoughts remained on the princess. She was safe. That was all that mattered. From the crowd, whispers began to spread. Humans were brave, yes, but this was something extraordinary. To willingly risk one's life for another, not for reward or glory, but simply because it was the right thing to do, it was almost unheard of. Kalira followed the stretcher with her glowing robe flowing behind her. Her mind was racing. Life debt was not merely a formality, it was sacred. She had no choice but to honor it. But even as the weight of tradition settled on her shoulders, she felt a spark of something new: respect, admiration, and perhaps something more. Marcus's eyes, half closed from pain, caught her gaze one last time before the medics moved him away. "Don't worry about me," he murmured. "Focus on them, your people, the peace." Kalira nodded, though she knew she could not let him go. Not yet, not ever. The life debt had begun, and with it, a bond that would change both their destinies forever. As the twin suns dipped lower in the sky, casting long shadows across the ceremonial platform, Marcus lay unconscious but alive. The crowd slowly dispersed, some muttering prayers, others in stunned silence. And high above, on the cliffs, the wind whispered through the alien flora, carrying with it the promise of challenges, adventures, and dangers yet to come. The first act had ended. But the story, one of bravery, loyalty, and the unyielding spirit of humanity, was only beginning. The stars shimmered like diamonds against the dark velvet of space as the Viorlian cruiser glided silently above the ocean world of Viorlia. Inside the ship, the hum of engines and the faint vibration of energy fields underfoot created a strange sense of calm. Marcus Reed lay in a medical pod, his human body slowly healing from the wounds he had taken protecting Princess Kalira. His chest still throbbed painfully, but he was alive, and that was a victory he clung to. Princess Kalira entered the medical chamber without knocking, her bioluminescent robes glowing faintly in the soft light. Her expression was calm, yet her eyes burned with intensity. Marcus turned his head slightly to see her approach, forcing a weak smile. "You awake?" she said simply, her voice soft but commanding. "I am," Marcus replied, his voice rough from pain. "How's everything?" "Calm for now," Kalira answered. "But calm can change quickly. That is why you are needed, not just to protect me but to guide me to act when others hesitate." Marcus frowned. He had been a soldier, trained to follow orders and protect, yes, but to guide royalty across alien worlds, that was something else entirely. He pushed himself upright in the medical pod, ignoring the protests of his body. "You're the princess. I'll follow your lead, But I don't know what you mean about guidance. Kalira took a deep breath. Marcus, in Virelian tradition, a life debt is more than gratitude. You risked your life for me. That makes you bound to me now and always. You will accompany me wherever I go, and your loyalty is no longer optional. You must act according to my will, defend me, and also advise me. Your perspective, your decisions matter. Marcus stared at her. He had expected respect and perhaps some honor, but not a legal binding that forced him to serve her. Yet, as he looked into her determined eyes, he understood. This was not merely law, it was a bond, sacred and unbreakable. Understood, he said finally, gripping the edge of the pod. I'll do what is required, Kalira nodded. Good, because our mission begins immediately. Several star systems have refused to recognize our treaty. If we do not show strength and intelligence, war could erupt. And humans, you possess qualities the Virelians often lack: quick thinking, adaptability, and courage. These qualities will be critical. Marcus allowed a small, ironic smile. So, I'm not just a bodyguard, I'm a consultant. Kalira's lips curved into the faintest smile. If your counsel saves lives, yes. The ship entered orbit above the first diplomatic system, a world known for its heavily fortified space stations, and a council of leaders known to be distrustful of outsiders. Kalira stepped onto the observation deck, her eyes scanning the sparkling cities below. Marcus followed, leaning on the railing lightly, feeling the pull of gravity and the tension in his body. The alien council awaited them, their chambers sleek and imposing. Marcus noted the diversity in their appearance. Some were tall, with crystalline skin that reflected light in dazzling patterns. Others were squat but powerful, with multiple arms capable of both construction and combat. Every member carried an aura of authority and suspicion. Kalira stepped forward confidently. Esteemed leaders, she began, her voice steady and melodic, we have come seeking dialogue, understanding, and peace. The future of our systems depends on cooperation, not conflict. Whispers ran through the council chamber. The humans they observed were unpredictable, so was Kalira's calmness. Marcus watched the reactions carefully, scanning for any hint of hostility. Then it came. One of the council members, a crystalline being named Shylar, spoke sharply. Your words are noble, princess, but actions speak louder. Why should we trust you or the humans who follow you over centuries of rivalries and betrayal? Kalira's eyes met Marcus's, silently asking for advice. Marcus stepped forward slightly, his voice clear and measured. Because trust is earned, not assumed. And because today I risked my life to save hers. That is more than words, it is proof. Humanity is not perfect, but we are willing to act when it matters most. A murmur passed through the council. Kalira smiled faintly, impressed. Marcus's perspective, simple yet powerful, seemed to resonate in the chamber. Trust was fragile here, but he had planted the seed. The discussions lasted hours. Marcus remained close to Kalira, ready to intervene, but also observing, listening, and learning. He realized that the life debt was not just about physical protection. It was about understanding, advising, and acting when necessary. And Kalira, wise beyond her years, seemed to recognize this too. By the time they returned to the cruiser, Marcus was exhausted, yet a sense of purpose filled him. He realized that humans, though physically weaker than many alien species, had strengths in ingenuity, adaptability, and courage. These qualities, traits that sometimes alien species underestimated, were exactly what made him invaluable. Marcus, Kalira said quietly as they walked through the corridors, you may not realize it, but your life debt binds more than just you to me. It binds our peoples. Your actions are now part of a larger story, one that humans and Virelians will share. Marcus looked at her, surprised. I never thought of it that way, I just acted. Exactly, she replied. And that is why humans are remarkable. You act even when the cost is great. You think in ways we cannot predict. You adapt. That is why you are bound to me, not just by law, but by destiny. The next day brought a new challenge. Reports arrived of a hostile fleet moving toward a neighboring system, one that Kalira intended to negotiate with peacefully. Marcus examined the data, noting the fleet's size, formation, and estimated reaction time. He worked quickly, calculating probabilities, and then turned to Kalira. "They plan to intimidate, not attack immediately," he said. "If we approach directly, they may fire. But if we take an indirect route through the asteroid field, we gain cover and we can reach them safely. It's risky, but it increases our odds." Kalira nodded, trusting his assessment. "Very well, we will proceed as you suggest." As the cruiser moved into position, Marcus remained at the control deck, monitoring the fleet, ready to act at a moment's notice. The humans' unpredictability once again became an asset. His decisions, grounded in instinct and training, allowed Kalira to maintain diplomatic leverage. The negotiations that followed were tense. Alien leaders questioned every word, tested every promise, and watched every gesture. Marcus stayed close, whispering observations to Kalira, pointing out subtle changes in posture or tone that might indicate deception or hidden motives. Slowly, through patience, observation, and human ingenuity, they managed to secure a preliminary agreement. After the negotiations concluded, Kalira stepped aside and looked at Marcus. "You see, your actions, your advice, your courage, they matter. This is why life debt is not a burden, Marcus. It is a partnership, and one day I believe it will save more than just my life." Marcus allowed himself a tired smile. He had always thought of life debt as a strange alien custom. Now he understood. It was not simply about obligation. It was about trust, cooperation, and the understanding that courage and loyalty could shape worlds. The journey continued across the stars, each system presenting its own challenges: hostile leaders, cultural misunderstandings, and threats from factions that sought to disrupt Kalira's mission. Each time, Marcus's presence made a difference. His human instincts, his willingness to act decisively, and his courage under pressure reminded the aliens that humans were more than mere soldiers. They were thinkers, problem solvers, and protectors in ways that others could not anticipate. As the cruiser entered another system, Kalira spoke quietly to Marcus. "The galaxy is vast, Marcus, dangerous, unpredictable, but together, humans and Violians, we can meet those dangers. Your life debt is not a chain, it is a bridge between our peoples." Marcus looked out at the stars, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. He was bound by tradition, yes, but he also saw the opportunity to make a difference far beyond himself. He was no longer just a soldier. He was a partner in shaping the future of countless worlds. And as the twin suns of another planet rose in the distance, Marcus realized that his choice, the choice to act, to protect, to risk everything, was only the beginning. The life debt was not a burden. It was a call to greatness. Together, Marcus and Kalira would face the galaxy, not as master and servant, but as allies, as protectors, and as symbols of what humanity could achieve. The cruiser drifted silently through the inky blackness of space, its hull glowing faintly with energy shields. Marcus Reed stood at the observation deck, his hands resting lightly on the railing. He had grown accustomed to the hum of alien engines and the soft vibration of the ship underfoot, but nothing could dull the tension that constantly lingered in his mind. The galaxy was unpredictable and danger could strike at any moment. Princess Kalira approached, her glowing robes shimmering faintly in the dim light. She had changed since the mission began. Confidence radiated from her, tempered by a keen awareness of the threats surrounding her. "Marcus," she said, her voice calm but firm, "we cannot underestimate our enemies. They may test our patience, our trust, and our resolve." Marcus nodded. "I know. But we've faced challenges before, and we've succeeded." Kalira's eyes softened. "True, but each system we visit is different. Each culture has its own rules, and many leaders will see me as weak because I am young, because I am Violian. They do not understand humans. That is why you are necessary. Your instincts, your courage, they are invaluable. Marcus allowed himself a small, tired smile. He had learned to take pride in his role, though he still saw it as duty more than honor. Then let's keep proving it, he said. The next system was a densely populated planet known as Surith. Its cities were built vertically, spiraling high into the sky, and the air was thick with energy pollution and the hum of industrial machinery. Calira and Marcus were to attend a summit where the leaders of several industrial colonies would meet. Their goal: to persuade these colonies to support a new trade agreement that could bring stability to the region. From the moment they arrived, Marcus felt the tension. The colonists were suspicious of outsiders. Their leaders, known for harsh business practices and strategic cunning, did not welcome interference. Marcus watched the delegates closely, noting subtle gestures, the flicker of doubt in their eyes, and the hidden glances exchanged when Calira spoke. During the summit, a disagreement erupted over resource allocation. One colony Zalar accused Calira of favoring another colony unfairly. Voices rose and the atmosphere became hostile. Marcus leaned toward Calira, whispering his observations. Zalar's leader is bluffing. They want to see if you'll panic. If we remain calm and show logic, we can turn this around. Calira nodded, drawing on his advice. She addressed the assembly with clarity, presenting data, projections, and examples from other systems that showed how cooperation could benefit everyone. Marcus noticed her posture, her calmness, and he realized that she had internalized his lessons. Humans acted with decisiveness, but they were also adaptable. Her confidence, combined with his support, began to sway the delegates. Hours passed. Tension filled the room, but slowly agreements were made. Marcus stayed alert, aware that any moment could bring a challenge, any misstep could reignite hostility. And then it happened. A sudden alarm blared through the summit chamber. Security screens showed armed figures moving through the halls, saboteurs intent on disrupting the negotiations. Marcus immediately reacted, placing himself between Calira and the intruders. "Get down," he shouted, pushing the princess to the floor as energy weapons fired in rapid bursts. Sparks and flashes filled the room. Marcus moved with precision, blocking attacks, directing security personnel, and using the environment to his advantage. His human instincts, honed from countless battles, allowed him to anticipate the saboteurs' moves, saving Calira and others from harm. Calira watched, awe in her eyes as Marcus neutralized the threat. She had seen courage before, but this was something extraordinary. Humans could act decisively, think quickly, and adapt to danger in ways that alien species sometimes could not. When the threat was finally contained, Calira stood beside Marcus, her expression serious but grateful. "Your actions today, they prevented disaster," she said quietly. Marcus shrugged, exhausted. "Just doing my job." "No," she replied firmly. "You did more than that. You saved lives and preserved the trust we are building. That is not something ordinary. That is the strength of humans, the unpredictability, the courage, and the ability to act when others hesitate." The incident made a profound impression on the delegates. What had begun as suspicion now turned into respect. Calira's mission was progressing, but Marcus realized that danger was never far behind. Each system presented new challenges, and each test pushed both him and Calira to their limits. Their next stop was a remote mining colony on the ice planet of Kryn. The colony had been raided by pirates multiple times, and its leaders were desperate for protection. Calira hoped to negotiate a defensive alliance, while Marcus prepared for the possibility of conflict. The landing was tense. Blizzards swept across the frozen plains, visibility dropped to near zero, and the harsh wind made every step difficult. Marcus adjusted his armor and checked his weapons, while Calira moved carefully alongside him. "This world, it is unforgiving," she remarked. "Humans can handle worse," Marcus replied lightly, though he felt the chill bite through his armor. "Focus on the negotiations. I'll handle the threats." The colony leaders were wary, but Kalira's diplomacy, combined with Marcus's subtle demonstrations of strength and vigilance, helped secure an agreement. However, as they returned to their ship, scouts reported pirate vessels approaching rapidly, intent on raiding the colony again. Marcus and Kalira immediately prepared. Marcus coordinated the colony defenses, placing human soldiers and Virelian guards in strategic positions. He trained them in tactics unfamiliar to the pirates, maneuvers that relied on agility, improvisation, and thinking beyond brute strength. Humans, he knew, had an advantage in adapting quickly under pressure. When the pirates attacked, chaos erupted. Energy blasts lit up the snowy plains. Marcus moved swiftly, blocking attacks, redirecting fire, and using the environment to protect civilians. He even led a counterattack, using speed and strategy to outmaneuver the pirates. Kalira observed, impressed by his coordination and bravery. By the end of the battle, the pirates were driven off, the colony intact, and Kalira's alliance secured. She turned to Marcus, her voice calm but filled with admiration. "Once again, your courage and insight have changed the outcome. Humans are remarkable. I understand now why the life debt binds us, not as obligation but as partnership." Marcus smiled, exhausted but proud. "I don't do it for praise. I do it because it matters." Kalira nodded. "And that is why you are indispensable. Every system we visit, every leader we meet, every challenge we face, your instincts, your courage, and your human perspective are vital." As they continued their journey through the stars, Marcus and Kalira encountered countless trials. Smugglers, rogue factions, and political rivals tested their resolve. Yet, each time, Marcus's human ingenuity, bravery, and adaptability made the difference. And each time, Kalira's respect for him deepened. During quiet moments aboard the cruiser, Kalira would speak to Marcus about her culture, her traditions, and the burdens of leadership. Marcus listened, learning not just the customs of the Virelians, but the weight of responsibility that came with their decisions. In turn, he shared human experiences, simple yet profound insights that helped Kalira see situations from new perspectives. It was a partnership forged in trials, built on mutual respect, and strengthened by shared danger. Marcus realized that the life debt was not a limitation. It was an opportunity to demonstrate the best of humanity, to prove that courage, loyalty, and quick thinking could shape outcomes across the galaxy. By the time they reached the edge of the Surith system, both Marcus and Kalira understood something important. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but together they could face it. Humans and Virelians, bound by law, by choice, and by courage, could overcome challenges that would break lesser beings. As the cruiser moved into warp, stars stretching into lines of light, Marcus looked at Kalira. "Whatever comes next, we'll handle it. Together." Kalira smiled faintly, her glowing eyes reflecting determination. "Yes, together. The galaxy will see what humans can do, Marcus, and it will see what Virelians can do when they trust their allies fully." In that moment, Marcus realized that the life debt was not a chain. It was a symbol of partnership, courage, and the strength of humanity. And as the stars streaked past the cruiser, he felt a deep sense of purpose. The trials were far from over, but he knew that whatever dangers lay ahead, he and Kalira would face them side by side. The galaxy was vast, full of challenges and unknown threats. But humanity, with its courage, adaptability, and determination, had already proven it could make a difference. And Marcus Reed, a single human soldier, was at the heart of it. The trials of loyalty had begun, and the story of bravery, partnership, and the unyielding spirit of humans was only growing stronger. The stars stretched into lines of light as the Virelian cruiser traveled at warp speed. carrying Princess Kalira and Marcus Reed toward the border of the Zitharian system. Marcus stood at the observation deck, his gaze scanning the inky darkness of space. Something about this journey felt different. He could not shake the uneasy feeling in his chest, the same instinctive warning he had learned to trust over countless missions. Princess Kalira approached silently, her glowing robes reflecting faint light off the metallic walls. "Marcus," she said quietly, "I sense it too. Something is coming." Marcus did not reply immediately. Instead, he leaned over the railing, studying the starfield as if danger could reveal itself in the motion of distant lights. "It's not just intuition," he said finally. "I can't see it yet, but the sensors might catch something before we do. Stay close." Moments later, the ship's alarm sounded, a low, steady hum that quickly escalated into a sharp warning. Red lights flashed across the control panels. "Unidentified ships approaching," the navigator reported. "They are moving fast and their signature matches known Zitharan raiders." Marcus's jaw tightened. "They've been lying in wait. Someone tipped them off. Prepare for evasive maneuvers." Kalira stepped forward, her eyes sharp. "We cannot flee. We must protect the mission and our people. They cannot see us fail." Marcus nodded. "Then we fight smart, not just fast." The raiders emerged from the darkness like shadows made of metal. Their ships were sleek, armed with rapid-fire energy cannons and cloaking devices that allowed sudden strikes. Marcus and Kalira had faced threats before, but this felt personal. The attackers seemed to know exactly where to strike, as if they had studied the cruiser's movements in advance. Marcus quickly coordinated the crew. "Deploy decoys," he ordered. "Activate the shields fully and prepare boarding defenses. I'll handle the external threats." The first volleys of energy fire streaked past the cruiser, missing by inches. Sparks and energy flares lit the viewports as Marcus moved to the tactical controls. He was a blur of action, directing defenses, predicting enemy maneuvers, and sending instructions to the crew with calm precision. Kalira watched in admiration, realizing once again that human ingenuity and courage could turn even a desperate situation in their favor. But the battle was far from over. The raiders, realizing their initial attacks were ineffective, launched a daring maneuver. A group of ships split off and rapidly approached the cruiser's escape pods. Marcus's heart sank. He knew what was coming. Their goal was not to destroy the ship, it was to capture Kalira. "Princess," he said urgently, "they want you. We must secure your location immediately." Kalira nodded, drawing herself up with determination. "I trust you, Marcus. Do what you must." Marcus acted swiftly. He activated the ship's internal defense drones, sealing sections of the vessel and redirecting power to shields around the princess's quarters. Yet, despite their efforts, one ship breached the outer defenses. Marcus barely had time to react before a transport pod fired from the enemy ship, landing directly in the corridor leading to Kalira's chambers. The raiders stormed in, armed with plasma rifles and energy blades. Marcus moved like lightning, intercepting the first attackers, his human reflexes faster than the aliens anticipated. He disarmed, dodged, and redirected, but he realized too late that Kalira's quarters had been breached. "Kalira!" he shouted, sprinting down the corridor. The princess was cornered, facing three attackers who had surrounded her. Marcus threw himself forward, striking with precision and speed, blocking attacks before they could land. Sparks flew as energy blades clashed against his own weapon. The situation was intense, dangerous, and terrifying, but Marcus thrived under pressure. With a combination of agility, strategy, and raw courage, he neutralized two attackers. But the third managed to grab Kalira, activating a restraint device designed to immobilize even the strongest Virelian. Marcus's chest burned with frustration and adrenaline. He could not allow the princess to be taken, not after everything. Thinking quickly, Marcus used the environment to his advantage. He smashed a console nearby, creating a surge of energy that temporarily disabled the restraint. Kalira broke free and joined him, her glowing arms radiating defensive energy. Together, they fought as a unit, human and Virelian, pushing back the attackers with precision and coordination that astonished even Marcus himself. Finally, the last attacker was subdued, and Kalira stood tall, her energy robes shimmering with exhausted determination. "We are not safe yet," she said, her voice steady. "They will try again." Marcus wiped sweat from his brow. "Then we prepare, and if they come again, we stop them." As the battle subsided, the enemy retreating into the void, the cruiser assessed the damage. The hull was scarred, some systems were offline, but the princess remained unharmed. Kalira turned to Marcus, her expression a mixture of relief and admiration. "Once again, you have proven your worth," she said quietly. "Your courage, your quick thinking, your ability to act under pressure, it is beyond what I imagined humans could achieve." Marcus allowed himself a brief smile, though his exhaustion was visible. "I'm just doing my duty, that's all." "No," Kalira replied firmly. "It is more than duty. It is bravery, loyalty, and the kind of intelligence that makes a real difference. And for that, the life debt you owe is not a burden. It is a bond that has saved countless lives today, including mine." Days passed as the cruiser continued toward the Zitharan system. Marcus and Kalira trained the crew, repaired the ship, and strategized for potential future attacks. Yet, despite the brief calm, the threat loomed larger than ever. The raiders had allies, and intelligence reports suggested a more dangerous faction was waiting further ahead, ready to exploit any weakness. One evening, as the stars streaked past the observation deck, Kalira spoke quietly to Marcus. "I have faced many battles in my life, Marcus, but today I saw something I had never truly understood, the human spirit. You fight not for glory, not for recognition, but because it is right. That is a strength our people admire but rarely possess to this degree." Marcus looked out at the endless void. "It's what humans do. We act when it matters most. We adapt, we survive, and we protect. That is who we are," Kalira nodded. "And that is why I trust you, not just with my life but with the lives of everyone who depends on this mission. Your life debt is no longer a chain. It is a shield, a symbol, and a promise." The next day, as the cruiser entered the outer rim of the Zitharan system, a new alarm sounded, this time more urgent, more deliberate. A massive warship, unlike any Marcus had seen, materialized directly in their path. Its hull was dark and angular, bristling with weapons, and its energy shields pulsed with an ominous red light. "They know we are here," Marcus said, his voice tense. "And they are prepared. This is no random attack. They want her Kalira. They want to break the mission and capture the princess." Kalira's eyes narrowed. "Then we must be smarter, faster, and stronger than they expect. We cannot fail." The battle that followed was brutal. Energy beams cut through space, warning sirens blared, and the cruiser shuddered under repeated strikes. Marcus moved with calculated precision, coordinating shields, directing counterattacks, and predicting enemy maneuvers. Kalira, drawing on her Virelian abilities, reinforced critical systems, protected the crew, and kept morale steady. At one critical moment, the enemy warship launched boarding pods directly at the princess's chambers. Marcus reacted instantly, intercepting the pods with precision strikes. Sparks flew, energy shields flared, and the boarding raiders were repelled, thanks to his rapid decision-making and the unique unpredictability of human combat tactics. Finally, after hours of relentless fighting, the enemy warship retreated, its hull damaged and engines malfunctioning. The cruiser was battered, systems partially offline, but the princess was safe. Marcus collapsed against a console, exhaustion overtaking him, yet a deep sense of fulfillment filled his mind. Kalira approached, placing a glowing hand on his shoulder. "Once again, you have proven that humans are not to be underestimated." Your courage, your instincts, your loyalty, they have saved not just me but the mission and countless lives. Marcus shook his head, smiling faintly. I'm not a hero, I just do what's necessary. No, Kalira replied, her eyes shining. You are more than that. You are the living proof of what humans can achieve. The life debt binds us, yes, but it also unites us in purpose, in courage, and in determination. Today, Marcus, you have shown the galaxy the true strength of humanity. As the cruiser limped through the stars, Marcus realized that the ultimate test had changed him. He had faced overwhelming danger, relied on instinct and courage, and succeeded where failure seemed inevitable. The life debt was no longer a formality. It was a living bond, forged in battle, trust, and shared purpose. And high above, the stars stretched infinitely, promising more trials, more dangers, and more opportunities for humans to prove themselves. Marcus knew one thing for certain: whatever came next, he would stand ready. He would act. He would protect. He would demonstrate the unyielding spirit of humanity, bound by law, honor, and courage, and nothing, not even the darkest reaches of the galaxy, could break it. The twin suns of Violia rose slowly, casting long shadows across the rocky plains and the ocean below. The Violian cruiser hovered in orbit, battered but functional, carrying Princess Kalira and Marcus Reed back to their homeworld. The battles, the trials, the near losses, they were behind them now, yet the weight of everything remained heavy on Marcus's shoulders. He stood at the observation deck, arms resting on the railing, staring at the horizon. The galaxy stretched endlessly, filled with worlds of opportunity and danger alike. Kalira appeared beside him, her bioluminescent robes glowing faintly in the morning light. She was calm, regal, and filled with a quiet strength that came from surviving the challenges they had faced together. "Marcus," she began, her voice soft but certain, "you have done more than I could have imagined. Not just for me, but for the people of Violia and every system that depends on our decisions." Marcus shook his head. "I only did what I had to do. I've always acted that way. You just gave me purpose." Kalira smiled faintly. "Purpose is more than survival, Marcus. You've shown our people what humans can do: courage, loyalty, adaptability, and determination. Your actions have strengthened our alliances and inspired trust where none existed before." Marcus looked out at the stars, feeling the weight of her words. The life debt, once a binding obligation, had transformed into something greater. It was no longer a simple law or tradition. It was a symbol of partnership, trust, and mutual respect between humans and Violians. When the cruiser landed on Violia, a welcoming committee awaited them. Diplomats, military leaders, and citizens who had heard of Marcus's heroism. Whispers of admiration spread through the crowd, and some stared openly at the human soldier who had risked everything for the princess. Kalira disembarked first, walking beside Marcus. She addressed the crowd with a calm, commanding presence. "Today, we honor not just the courage of one individual, but the spirit of cooperation, the power of bravery, and the unity of our peoples. Marcus Reed, a human soldier, has shown what it means to act selflessly and with wisdom in the face of danger. His actions have saved lives and preserved the fragile peace we all depend on." The crowd erupted in applause, some bowing in respect. Marcus felt a blush rise to his face, unused to such attention, yet he straightened, feeling pride in what he had accomplished. He had acted instinctively, without thought of reward, yet here he was, celebrated for humanity's virtues. Kalira led him to a ceremonial platform where a council of elders awaited. They were wise, their eyes reflecting centuries of knowledge and authority. Kalira spoke to them directly. "The life debt Marcus owes me is not a burden to him, nor is it simply a duty to me. It is a bond that has strengthened the ties between our peoples and shown the galaxy what courage and loyalty truly mean. Therefore, I declare that his debt shall serve as a symbol of unity, respect, and honor between humans and Violians." Marcus's eyes widened. A symbol? He asked, unsure he fully understood. Yes, Kalira replied. Not an obligation, not a chain, but a bridge. A bridge between worlds that will allow us to face future challenges together. Your courage has earned you more than gratitude, it has earned recognition, respect, and a place in the history of our people. For the first time, Marcus felt the full weight of what he had done. He had acted without thought of reward, yet his bravery had inspired trust, forged alliances, and changed the course of countless lives. It was more than he had ever imagined possible. Over the next days, Marcus and Kalira worked tirelessly to solidify alliances. Diplomats and leaders from neighboring systems came to witness the human who had saved a princess and led with intelligence and courage. Marcus, though initially uncomfortable with the attention, began to see the impact of his actions. He had not only protected Kalira, but had also demonstrated the very best of humanity. Kalira often consulted him during these meetings, valuing his perspective. "You see patterns others miss," she said one day. "Your instincts and your decisions are different from ours but effective. That is why your presence is vital," Marcus shrugged. "I just look at what needs to be done and act. I guess it works sometimes." Kalira smiled. "It works because humans think differently. You adapt. You improvise. You do not let fear stop you. And that is why our peoples can achieve more together." The alliance grew stronger. Trade routes opened, military cooperation was established, and cultural exchanges began. Humans were welcomed as partners, not outsiders. The story of Marcus Reed, the human soldier who had thrown himself in front of a blade for a Virean princess, became legend. It was told in schools, in council chambers, and around dinner tables across multiple star systems. Yet, Marcus remained humble. He did not seek recognition. He continued to train, to advise, and to protect, not because he had to, but because it was necessary. He had learned that the true measure of a hero was not fame, but action, and his actions had already left a mark that would last for generations. One evening, Kalira approached Marcus as they watched the twin suns set over the Virean ocean. "Marcus," she said softly, "the life debt is no longer a chain but a reminder of courage, partnership, and the strength of humanity. You have done more than I could have asked. You have shaped the future." Marcus turned to her, the fatigue of countless battles evident in his posture. "I only did what I had to do, but I'm glad it mattered." "It mattered more than you realize," Kalira replied. "You've shown that humans can make a difference. That courage, loyalty, and selflessness are qualities the galaxy can rely on, and that will inspire others for generations to come." Days turned into weeks as Marcus helped Kalira consolidate the alliances. Each system they visited remembered him, honored him, and valued the human perspective he brought. The partnership of human and Virean became a symbol, a message that the galaxy was vast, diverse, and stronger when peoples worked together. During one final ceremony, Kalira stood before a massive crowd. She lifted her glowing hand, calling for silence. "Today, we honor not just one individual but a bridge between worlds. Marcus Reed, human soldier, has shown the strength of humanity, courage, loyalty, and action in the face of danger. His life debt to me is no longer merely a bond. It is a symbol of our unity, our shared purpose, and our ability to shape the future together." Marcus stepped forward, humbled. He looked at Kalira, who nodded in reassurance. Then he addressed the crowd. "I'm not a hero. I just acted when it mattered. But what we do together, as humans and Vireans, can make a difference, and that is worth more than any reward." The crowd erupted in applause. Marcus felt the weight of their admiration, but more importantly, he felt the satisfaction of knowing that his actions had inspired something greater than himself. The life debt had become a legacy, a lasting symbol of courage, trust, and unity across the stars. As the twin suns dipped below the horizon, Marcus and Kalira stood side by side, looking out over the ocean and the distant cities. The battles were over for now. The alliances were strong and the galaxy was watching. Humanity had proven itself and Marcus had become more than a soldier. He had become a symbol of what humans could achieve when courage, loyalty, and action guided their choices. Marcus smiled faintly. "I guess we did it." Kalira returned the smile. "Yes, Marcus, and this is only the beginning. The galaxy has seen the strength of humans and they will remember it. We will continue to face challenges, yes, but together we can overcome anything." The stars above seemed brighter, the possibilities endless. Marcus felt a sense of peace, knowing that his life debt was no longer a burden, but a bridge to a future shaped by courage, partnership, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. And so Marcus Reed, the human soldier who had jumped in front of a blade to save a princess, stood as a hero, not because he sought glory, but because he had acted selflessly, with courage and with unwavering loyalty. The galaxy would remember his deeds, and humanity had earned its place among the stars. The story ended, but the legacy of bravery, partnership, and the unbreakable human spirit would continue to shine, lighting the way for countless others who would follow in his footsteps.